What's up, everybody? This is Jeremiah, and I am joined by Dave. Hey, Dave.
Did you almost forget your own name?
I was trying to decide if I was going to do Germ Gaming or Jeremiah, and I was like, oh, I don't say Germ Gaming anymore. I don't answer my YouTube name
Really?
anymore.
When did this happen?
Well, no, like on the podcast, we introduce everybody as just our actual names.
That's true. I got you.
Yeah, no, on YouTube. Yeah, no, major changes. I'm going to derail the podcast right here and just talk about my rebranding. Thank you for coming out, Dave. I could use your help. Let's focus group this.
Speaking of rebranding, why is my username so terrible?
Well, you chose it, so all right.
Yeah.
This is Casual Shenanigans Tech, a podcast where Dave and I answer your computer build and related questions. The ones we can't get to on the podcast because we get so many of them now. And the other podcast I'm referring to is, of course, Casual Shenanigans Gaming, the older brother to this podcast. But this is a bi-weekly-ish podcast, and you can write in with your computer build questions at casualshenanigans@gmail.com. You can also go to www.casualshenanigans.com, and there's a contact form there, and you can fill stuff out and send it to us. But
so, Jeremiah, would this podcast kind of be like the Google to Alphabet relationship, possibly? You got the overarching little umbrella and a little bit of Google down below it, maybe?
Yes, it's just like that, except for anything regarding stock options, CEOs, CIOs. But yes, Casual Shenanigans is the warm blanket that covers podcasts like Casual Shenanigans Tech, the catchiest name you've ever heard. Okay, so both Dave and I, last episode, were running GTX 970 SLIs. Both Dave and I are now running Zotac 980 Ti's. How has that been for you, Dave?
I was just checking my 970s on eBay.
How are they doing? I sold mine on r/hardware swap. I was like,
nice.
I wanted to just experiment and see if eBay was gonna, like, because eBay, will rake you over the fire with the seller fees and stuff.
I'm gonna pay like $12 a card. It's gonna suck.
Yeah. So I figured I'd just take a chance. But how are yours doing on eBay right now?
I just listed them like a day ago, so they're plenty of views and watchers, but I gave them a decent price, and like, it's so funny in the photos. I mentioned it in the description. It looks like they just came right out of the box, because they basically did. Joel used them for 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. I used them for right at 2 months, like in a filtered case. They're basically brand new. Yeah,
mine were pretty pristine too, and it was cool because I bought them for $305 each.
Yeah.
And then I sold them for $260 each. Now ignoring like the shipping costs and stuff, which worked out to about $15 a card. They each came with 2 NVIDIA game codes, and I sold 2 of the codes for $20 a piece. So that's $40. One card immediately became free, basically, because, $305 minus $40, $265. I basically paid $5 to use the cart for 3 months or something. And the other one, I kept the game codes for that one, but I would have bought at least The Witcher, so that ended up saving me money too.
Oh, yeah.
So except for shipping costs,
on the other hand, though, you have Joel, who, being Joel, waited for nothing and no one and bought the cards at over MSRP, paying about $350 a piece for them. He kept all the game codes, including just giving them away to people who actually aren't going to play any of the games that he gave away. So because I bought my cards from Joel, I paid over MSRP in total for them, got no codes, and still only kept them for the 2 months. So.
Well, no, I mean, you got an okay deal because you did a trade for the 980, right? I've already forgotten that you owned a 980 now.
Yeah, that was a brief experiment, but Newegg, I mean, well, we can backtrack this for a while. Newegg basically gave me the 980 for, I got to do the 970 return for free.
Oh yeah, you had a single 970. Gosh, it's been a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a weird year. I think I'm done for a while officially. This is stable, so
yeah. So why did you want to switch? I've complained about it enough. I was really unhappy with SLI, with the scaling, with the heat, with everything. And for me, I was like, I'll lose like $100 on this. But the 980 Ti overclocks like a beast, is very powerful, has 6 gigs of VRAM, all that stuff. So, but what broke you?
No, I'm basically on board with everything except for the scaling. For me, the scaling was fantastic. I got
on games where it's supported.
Which, the only thing I've played this summer has been GTA 5 and The Witcher 3 and Arma, basically. Like, that's all I've played.
True.
Outside of Total War games, which, those run at weird frame rates anyway. They're all over the place. But yeah, the 970 SLI, fantastic scaling in the games that I played. I bought those cards, honestly, for The Witcher 3. Those cards were my avenue to The Witcher 3 at 1440p and 60 FPS. And I think that's why I actually don't regret the purchase, just because, like, it's been such a great experience. That's been the most stable game with them. But outside of that, they have had unstable drivers, tons of heat, and just really... I've had SLI since the 9800 GTX in 2008. I did that, I did 480s, and then I did 680s in SLI. And the 970s have been by far the worst SLI experience. Now, the 9800s, those didn't scale very well, but they were stable, you know? They weren't too hot. These cards, I don't know what happened. 970s are great, you know, on their own, but...
Great single cards, yeah.
Yeah, something just really went wrong. So, I've lost, in the end, a few frames per second in The Witcher 3, but it's still got, you know, a bit of variance to it, and still fewer dips than the poor PS4 and the Xbox One. I mean, it's an open world game. It's going to have some variance in the frame rate. The main thing for me with the 980 is that going back to a single card solution, not only is it more stable, but, you know, it's easier for streaming with tabbing out and stuff like that. My computer is not just for gaming, it's a production computer. SLI was just too finicky for a production computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, my computer has to run all day, pretty much every day. And then I game in the evenings. So, like, the heat and the noise and everything else, I'm just not having it anymore. Like, I got rid of my 290 because I was so tired of the heat. I was actually pretty happy with my 290. It didn't blow away every game at 4K, but I could play every game on at least medium to medium high settings, and it was fine.
Right.
And I was happy. And then I went to a 970 because, like, I'm sick of all this heat. So I went to 970. It wasn't quite fast enough. So I was like, all right, I'll get a second one. And then heat and crashing and all kinds of driver issues. And, like, I'm just not having it anymore. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with my 980 Ti. We both got the Zotac, which is one of the cheapest ones, but the cooler is really awesome.
Yeah. I think I might move my sound card down one more slot again, just to give it a little more room to breathe, because it's not a rear vent. It's a downward vent.
But I was able to run mine on the second slot, which is great because it was in the top slot. 980 Ti's come with back plates that are very hard to remove, and I actually was considering with my Nashua DH14 CPU cooler, I was either going to have to bend fens on the cooler,
nope,
or I was going to have to get the back plate off the card because, like, I literally put it in and then I went, oh no, I don't think I can get this back out if I have to, because you can't reach that retaining clip. Like, it's impossible to get to that thing. So I had to rig up
like getting a coat hanger and like creating this hook device to try to, like, a little tiny flashlight. And
2 small screwdrivers and some string to pop the fan off the cooler, get the fan out. Then I can get a screwdriver in between the heat sinks. It's my fault for getting a massive CPU cooler, but my computer's air cooled for cheaper than liquid cooling. And now, with my Perlimatech Beast fan in the back of the case, I'm maxing at like 65 degrees Celsius, like after rendering video all day. And that's with a 4.5 gigahertz overclock. So, like, I don't really have any complaints there. Honestly.
Speaking of overclocks, the 980, I just threw a 60 megahertz overclock on it with a like 5...
60, you wimp. Get on it. What do you do? 60?
No, you don't understand, Gemma. I installed the card, threw 60 on it, and like went to work, and it's been so stable. I can't wait to see like what it actually does. For my 970s, by the time that I finally, you know, like last week was getting ready for the swap, I had them at 0 for the overclock or negative to keep them stable in things like GTA 5. Well, it was bad.
I'll be happy to give you my settings. I only, since we have the same card, I only overclocked for like 5 minutes messing with it, but I'm running at 175 megahertz core boost right now.
What?
It was stable at 200, except GTA. GTA is weird about overclocked cards. And I still have gotten a random GTA crash or two, but yeah, GTA is kind of like that. Nothing else has crashed, so I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, we'll see. If it crashes more, I'll play with it. But like, yeah, go ahead.
Good. Oh,
I'm not really convinced it's a card issue.
No,
like I think it might be drivers. GTA. Yeah,
drivers in GTA.
The stupid drivers.
I mentioned production, and I will say it's not just for game-related production. 3ds Max does enjoy the 6 gigs of VRAM and all the extra cores.
Is it able to use that much VRAM?
Oh yeah. Yeah. you start doing like a turbo smooth in the viewport, and it ramps up as it starts subdividing and stuff like that. But apps like that can't use SLI anyway. They're not full screen and no driver support and that sort of thing. So a single card for stuff like that is the way to go anyway. So overall, it's been a nice improvement despite the very slight performance dip. Like the stability is well worth it.
It's interesting you're getting a dip. I've gotten a little bit better performance, and I think, like we're talking about differences in scaling, I think, and I can't really like back this up with hard data in my case, but I think the 4K, like the SLI does not scale it as well at 4K as maybe it does at 1440p, because I'm getting better results. And I don't think it was a VRAM issue, because I never really maxed out the VRAM on the 7, or even when I did on the 970s, it still ran fine. So I'm not really convinced it's that. I'm not really sure what the issue is, but yeah, I'm happy with the 980 Ti. I don't know if I'd recommend other people in our case go ahead and do the swap we did. We definitely lost money on it, but we both like being on the cutting edge of things. And if I'm being honest, YouTube money paid for it. All your potato masher tiers paid for my 980 upgrade. So
actually, I was gonna say the same thing. Like I usually set aside a certain amount of YouTube money per month for stuff like
and
Adobe
spend
Suite.
It 3 months in advance on your SSD.
I did that. I paid that off in June, and then I bought Joel's card, so that was July. So I spent August already on the 980. But it's a tax write-off in the end, and because of all the upgrades this year, with just the weird driver issues and the 970 VRAM blow up and all that stuff, I've kind of stair-stepped my way up to the 980 Ti. Like I didn't just set out to get a 980 Ti all of a sudden. It was like $100 out of pocket to swap. So I've worked my way towards it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of interesting. We are both on more cutting edge than we've ever been with our computers.
Yeah.
I mean, your CPU is still a little weak, but whatever.
Actually, I have noticed I seem to have some really awful frame rates in Arma sometimes that I want to
diagnose.
I want to do some diagnosing, because like everyone in the last mission is like, man, like I had like 30 FPS the whole time, and I'm like, I was hitting 14 on occasion. Like something's not.
That is kind of weird. I would say my 4790K is butchering games. Like it's I know hyper-threading isn't that useful for games, so it's probably just the 4.5 gigahertz overclock and the good the good per clock performance. But yeah, from talking to you, it sounds like my processor's crushing yours at the moment. But you do have a hexacore.
First few cores, yeah.
Right, but you're at what, 4.2? 4?
4.1.
4.1. Yeah, I mean, that's still, like, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
You might just have to look at maybe, I wonder, like, your object rendering in Arma, maybe it's set too high, like, maybe...
Yeah.
I don't know if you have everything on Ultra. I dropped everything down to very high, or, like, one step below Ultra. Just because when it was on Ultra, I was getting a few more dips. But now I've got everything V-synced at 30 FPS in Arma and on very high settings, and at 4K, it's great. No issues.
We'll have to play with that some. Do our own kind of little tech stuff there.
Yeah. But for now, let's get to everyone's questions. So Joe wrote in. Joe wrote in a couple weeks ago. Important thing to keep in mind with the podcast. This is a bi-weekly-ish podcast. So don't write in if you're like, hey guys, I'm trying to build this computer literally tomorrow and I want your advice.
Yeah.
Write in if you're planning to build like in the next week or two, because that's when we'll be able to get to your question. It's not that we wouldn't like to, but not to toot our own horns, but we're getting a lot of emails. So we're going to get to as many as we can. We can't do them all tonight. Some of these questions are going to be answered in the next episode or on Casual Shenanigans Gaming if they're a short question. Basically, we're doing the best we can. We're not trying to make excuses, but if you're wondering, hey, why didn't you get to my question? That's why. We just have a lot. Someday we will probably get to the point where we just can't answer some questions, which kind of sucks, but we enjoy answering them now, and we enjoy answering questions like Joe's. Joe wrote in. Said, so I've been trying to make my first gaming PC with a budget of $475, and I'm wondering if this PC I'm building has good specs. You ready for some specs, Dave?
I'm reading those specs right now.
That's
absorbing
true.
Like a sponge.
An EVGA 500 watt power supply, a GeForce GTX 750 graphics card, 2 gigabyte, an Intel G3258. What a surprise. Budget build with the 3258. An Asus Micro ATX 1150 basic H81 motherboard, with 8 gigs of Crucial Ballistics RAM. And he's going to be playing Battlefield Hardline, Minecraft, modded heavily with shaders, Gary's Mod, GTA 5, etc. I have a friend who does a lot about PCs, and he says this is good. I just want to ask you guys if this is good and if I should change some of this. The total price is $473, but sometimes it drops and increases the maximum to $474. But I guess PC Part Picker changes prices or whatever. Anyways, I'd like to know if it's good. And sorry for this long message, and I like your podcast, guys, and good job. Wow, what?
I just realized, Jeremiah, that, I'd say about 25% of the Battlefield Hardline community just emailed us right here.
Wow, you were setting that up.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Dick. I mean, I think it's funny.
Am I wrong?
No.
Peak for this week was 700, Jeremiah.
Now, I kind of wish you'd send us a PC Part Picker link just because I want to know how much you're spending on your graphics card, because for $475, I do not want you to get a GTX 750.
I agree.
The 750 Ti is like the baseline that I would say, hey, if you're setting up a gaming computer, don't go any lower than this. 750 Ti is right there. I would not get a 750. 2 gigabytes of VRAM is okay, but that card is going to be pretty slow. Dave.
Yeah, you're going to feel that really fast. That card is, No.
We don't really know what he's spending on that card, but what are GTX 750s going for? 110, 100. Okay, Dave, for about $100 to $120, see if you can find me a better option, and I'm going to talk about the processor.
Okay. So
the G3258 is the darling of budget builds because it's like $70, $60 some of the time, and it's unlocked, which Intel doesn't do with their cheap processors, but they did it with this one, and it overclocks like a beast. You can easily get it to 4.5 gigahertz. All of that is really good, and it's cool, power efficient, everything you could possibly want in a budget processor, except it's a dual core, no hyperthreading. So it really only has 2 threads, 2 cores, and that's not a problem in most games, but some newer games are starting to require more than 2 cores.
Yes.
And they will stutter and behave badly if you physically don't have the cores. They will be mean to you. Which is a shame because if you're building a budget Arma build or something, that processor is amazing because you just need clock speed. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't mention Arma or DayZ, so I think AMD is probably the way to go for him. You could overclock that processor a lot farther than you could an AMD processor. But we don't know if he's overclocking. He didn't mention that. And he needs something that has at least 3 cores. You could get an i3 with hyperthreading, but that's going to be at least $40 more expensive, so I'm guessing his budget can't handle that. So unfortunately, you're going to be looking at the 750K, I think. I'm going to check that. The Athlon, the 860K is $75. That's probably your best bet. It's a 3.7 gigahertz quad-core AMD chip. It can, it handles stuff pretty well. I'm going to open up a PC Part Picker link, and I'm going to let's see if we can do a build real quick of this thing. Dave, feel free to chime in, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend a 3258 unless you're mostly playing older games, just because it's going to be an issue.
Tonight on Jeremiah has an axe to grind against the 3258.
I know it seems like that, 'cause especially with the potato masher, so many people have fussed at me for not getting a 3258. Which on one hand, I understand it's a very popular processor, but there are plenty
It's not a forward-looking choice. It's really not.
It's not an enthusiast processor. It's a budget processor people have figured out how to abuse to get the results they want.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of the spirit of overclocking and stuff. But, I have a hard time recommending it unless you wrote in, you're like, hey, I play Minecraft and Counter-Strike. I'm looking to build a cheap budget build. Sure, go nuts.
Yeah,
it won't matter. But anyway, could you make a suggestion for a video card? I'm putting together a build with as many of the same parts he mentioned as possible.
I can. There's actually, he might get lucky here. There's a special right now on the EVGA 750 Ti superclocked for $119.99 on Newegg.
Okay.
That's a pretty slick deal. That's within $10 or so of the estimated budget that he's got for the just traditional 750.
Now, Dave, but a 750 Ti, that's only a 2-letter difference. Why should he be interested?
But Jeremiah, it's all the difference in the world.
Okay. Well, I felt like you were maybe a little enthusiastic, but sure. What's up?
Let me actually bring up the page here. It's funny, if you search for just the traditional 750, it's actually very hard to find one because all the results are for the TI.
Because it's far superior.
Yeah. The TI is like we are promising you that you don't want the older one version of the 750. It has 640 cores compared to 512 in the stock 750. It's got better clock speeds by a significant amount. It's just a better card, and it's $10 more. If you're going to get a budget card, do not go lower than the 750 Ti.
I agree.
And I also found a AMD option.
Okay.
Now, this one I'm not familiar with, but there is a deal on right now. It is an MSI R7 265 2GB for $122.
And to
that seems like
what can you get a 270 for?
A 270. Well, let me go back here. If we tweak the budget just a bit, let's bring it up to like 140. Still not quite in the 270 range.
Okay.
It might just be a matter of waiting for the right sale, honestly, for the 270. There we go. If we go up to 160, now that is a pretty significant bump from his 115 to 120-ish.
Right.
From what we can tell, budget.
From what we can tell, yeah. He didn't send in a link, so we're just guessing.
If you can add $30 to $40, you can get a 270 or 270X, it looks like.
Okay. What's the cheapest 270 you see?
I am seeing one. Let me sort by ye old price here. Oh, that's a lot of scrolling all of a sudden.
Looks like Sapphire has a dual X for $142, an R9 270.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is the cheapest one that I'm seeing, I think.
All right, so I have a build to talk about.
Okay.
So while you've been saying that, I've been putting together a build with an
saying those words.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, an Athlon 860K.
Okay.
Which is an FM2 chip. That's the AMD chipset. The nice thing about those chipsets are the motherboards are dirt cheap. You can get an ASRock Extreme 4 Micro ATX motherboard for $60. That's a good motherboard.
I miss that about AMD, man.
And a Hyper 212 cooler, because, if you're air cooling on a budget, you're getting a Hyper 212. 8 gigs of Team Elite memory, a 1 terabyte Hitachi UltraStar hard drive for $44.
Yes, please.
A Thermaltake ATX basic budget case, Corsair CSM 450 watt, 80 plus gold certified semi-modular power supply for $40.
Ooh, semi-modular. Ooh.
Gold rated because the power supply you had in there was kind of junk. And then an R9 270 2GB dual X graphics card. That all comes to $451.
Sorry, I interrupted there. What was the price for the power supply?
Power supply was $40 after a rebate.
Okay, yeah.
After a promo. Yeah.
When someone looks at one of these builds and they say, "Man, but if I just shaved like $20 off my power supply, I could get a better graphics card." What do we say to that?
We say you are cutting money in the exact wrong area. Because saving money on a power supply is kind of like buying old used tires when your car needs tires and then going, they're just tires. What's the difference?
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Exactly. You don't skimp out on tires. You don't skimp on shoes. You don't skimp on shingles for your house, and you don't skimp on power supplies.
You can't see it, but I'm currently writing down no more cheap tires and no more cheap shingles.
Dave's like, oh, used tires are bad. Oh.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that the general principles, but for power supplies, get a decent one. Now, we did put a pretty budget one in the potato masher, but it's okay. It's an EVGA. It's fine. But
yeah.
So this parts list, I'm going to save a link, and I'm going to save an email draft, and I'm going to save that in there, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. So if you wanted to step up to Intel, you have enough room in your budget after rebates that you could get an i3 and you could get, a cheap motherboard, but that's what I would probably do. And if you're okay getting a used graphics card, you could get a GTX 760, like we have in the Potato Masher that would be a little cheaper.
Yeah.
For $143, I'm going to go out on a limb. Is that GTX 770 money if it's used? That probably isn't yet. It's
not quite. No.
It would get you a used 960, which is a pretty respectable card. So that's something to think about. But yeah, you have options. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like
Oh yeah.
This is actually a pretty decent budget. Now, if your $475 budget included things you didn't mention in the email, like you didn't talk about a hard drive and a case, so I just picked cheap ones. If you were including like a copy of Windows in the budget or a monitor or something, then our build's way off, and you need to let us know. But for now, it is what it is. Next question.
Give us them deets, people. Them deets.
Next question.
Wait.
Yes. I'm sorry.
One very final note. You mentioned the graphics cards being used. I would say that when it comes to used parts, even if you're nervous about it, graphics cards are one of the safest things to buy used. They're sturdy. They're big. They last a long time. It's hard to hurt a graphics card. I've bought 5 or 6 used in the past 5 years, probably more than that, I feel like. And they've all been fine.
Literally, I know this is anecdotal evidence, so take it with a grain of salt. If you don't know what anecdotal means, it means, well, this is what happened to me, so this must be true for everybody. But the only graphics card I've ever had die on me was brand new, and it was my first 970. Man, I've owned a lot of graphics cards this year.
Wait, Jeremiah, how many 970s have just you and I gone through this last 12
I have personally owned 4.
I've owned 3 now. I just realized that. Oh gosh.
But yeah, I burned through that card in like 3 days. I mean, it was a lemon. But I've bought many used cards. I've had a graphics card catch on fire before and it kept working. So like you can roll the dice a little bit, but if you buy any used parts, it's smart to buy them from a seller with a return policy and a little bit reputable. Like, don't go on Amazon and find seller profile just launched and they're selling a card for too good to be true. Have fun mailing your money to someone else. You'll never see it again.
Basically.
But we have a question now from HammerHavoc. And he wrote in last time, and his brother wanted to build a computer that matched his in performance, and it could only be $900. And he said he was going to like possibly give some parts to a friend or something. Now we got really excited because this is an awesome budget if you were keeping like the case and the power supply and stuff. Well, he wrote back in and he is not. He needs an entire build for $900. So did you open up that old open up the build he sent in?
I did, yes.
Okay. So you're looking at the one or I'm looking at the one that HammerHavoc has. Like, remember, we're doing this for HammerHavoc's brother. HammerHavoc has the 4690K and the H100i. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes,
okay.
I am.
So let's save him some money real quick. So let's just try to get this build down to $900. First issue I see, Corsair CX 500 watt bronze POS power supply. No, sorry, Hammer, that's a bad deal. And let's see. We can also get rid of that H100i. You're on a budget. You do not need the biggest liquid cooler on the market.
Nope.
And let's also ditch that Z97. So I guess only one of us can edit this at a time, and I didn't really think about that before I started. Sorry about that.
I'm just listening.
All right. Obviously a Hyper 212, duh.
Surprise!
Now he has a Zotac 970 in here for $340. And he also has a 256 gig Crucial MX100 SSD. I'm thinking ditch the SSD. What do you think?
You gotta make cuts, yeah.
I mean, if you want to get the same performance for games, the SSD is going to affect you the least. I run most of my games off of a mechanical drive, and it's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So if you need to cut somewhere, that's probably the first place I would do it. For a motherboard, I'm guessing we should just go with like the cheapest Z97 board we can get them. Let me see. I'm going to sort
cheap or go home.
Well, I mean, the cheapest decent one. We can't get them a Z87. That's a Devil's Canyon processor. It would probably require a BIOS update to work, and we just don't want to mess with that. So we can get a nice ASRock Z97 for $100. We've already saved a little bit of money. Ditching the SSD. So now we have a Hyper 212, an ASRock Z97, same 4690K processor, Same 8 gigs of G-Skill RAM, same 1 terabyte hard drive, same 970, same case. We are at $830. We're under budget. In case you missed that.
Very nice.
But we can get a cheaper 970 for that money. Which 970 for $340? What would you get?
I mean, the Zotac is on sale for like $309 constantly. I don't know why you would pay so much. I mean, unless you're Joel and you're just impatient.
You can also get the EVGA with the ACX 2.0 cooler. Also, anecdotally, that's the one that died on me. You can get that one for $330. We're assuming he's playing at 1080p. Oh, wait. It does say in his email he needs an SSD. Bah, humbug. All right, if he needs an SSD, he's no longer... Well, he says he needs an SSD. He needs an SSD. You know, we won't argue semantics. So what's a good, cheap SSD? He doesn't need a 256 gig SSD.
Ooh, I am... Well, okay, this is going to sound so douchey. I haven't been in the budget SSD market for a while.
Oh, I need to add a power supply too.
Let me look.
I mean, you can get a 240 gig 850 Evo for like, what, $100 or something?
Let's look for $90. What can we find?
He's going to definitely have to get a cheaper graphics card. Sorry, that's just not even an option.
Oh, there's some nice budget options for SSDs now. Look at that. Okay, we can do a 120 gig Samsung for $69, or we could go all the way up to a...
To do a 250, because 120, he's going to hate that pretty soon.
250? Crucial, 250, $84. That's not bad.
$84?
$84 for a 250.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. All right.
That is 33 cents per gig. Not bad.
Not bad at all. I am picking power supplies right now because when I said $830 for the budget, I completely forgot that I ditched the crappy power supply. And HammerHavoc, if you're all worried about me saying your power supply is crappy, it's probably not going to die on you. If you're putting together an enthusiast build, don't grab the cheapest power supply you can and put it in there. That's kind of dumb. Oh, look at you, Dave, sending me links and stuff.
Oh, man. Yeah, I sent it to the global chat, so everyone who's playing GTA right now is probably like, who's buying SSDs tonight?
As you can tell, we do this live. Professionalism. Okay, I've added that. I still need to add a power supply. This is doable. So, Dave, $230. Find me a graphics card for somewhere in that budget.
230, you said?
230 to 250, somewhere in that range while I'm flipping through power supplies.
Oh man, that's got options. Here we go.
We're assuming he's playing at 1080. He didn't say anything in particular, so assume
Here
that.
we go. What can we get for a price? I'll say $229. How about that?
Sure.
Let's see what we can find here. Ooh, an R9 280.
That's pretty good.
Whoa, wait, that's 182.
Yeah, a 280X you could probably get for $200.
What else can we find here? PC Part Picker seems to be struggling tonight.
Yeah, it is running a little bit slow. I've noticed that.
Okay, other options include a 960. Several brands of 960s. Including the 960 for the win from EVGA. That fits into his budget at $220.
It does, but for $220, I don't know if the 960 is a good card. It's barely faster than a 760.
Ooh, how about an XFX double dissipation R9 285 for $212?
That'll work.
That's pretty solid.
Link me that. That's very close to a 290, and that'll put you right at budget. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
That's good stuff.
XFX is not the best brand, but
they used to be really good.
They do,
I miss them.
But they have okay warranties and stuff. So I mean, if you think it's an issue, just step up to a slightly better brand. We're just giving you an option right now. But yeah, so now he's got a 4690K Hyper 212 ASRock Z97 motherboard, 8 gigs of RAM, 250 gig SSD, Western Digital Caviar Blue 1 terabyte, R9 285, Cooler Master cheapo case, and a Cooler Master 80 plus 550 watt gold certified semi-modular ATX power supply. Before rebates, that's $951, and then a bunch of rebates, and after shipping, it's down to $860.
Nice.
That's probably what I would do. All right, Dave, want to read us the next email?
No, because I'm currently tapping away with back-end time codes.
I'll read the next email.
Okay.
Hey, CSG. First of all, I'm a big fan of the podcast. I live in France, so I can't make it to the live show, but it's great for Elite Dangerous. Several people have said that. It's great for burning time in the background. My current laptop is an HP Envy DV7. Don't care, it's a laptop. It can barely run games like GTA 5 on the lowest settings at 720p, so I think it's time to finally join the PC Master Race properly and build a computer. Welcome. This will be my first build, so I'm starting with a blank canvas except for a mouse and keyboard. Can you look over my parts list and tell me if I'm being an idiot or not? Prices are in dollars because it's cheaper to have it sent over than buying it here. I play games like GTA 5, Europa Universalis 4, Elite Dangerous, and do a small amount of 3D rendering for coursework. I'm a student, so budget can only be pushed a little bit more. Thanks for your help, Erodon. And then he followed up with, he wants to game at 1080p 60 FPS on fairly high settings, and he prefers NVIDIA and Intel.
Okay.
So, do you have his build open? It's not a PC part picker link, but it's he sent us the links to everything, or he sent us the name of everything.
Yeah, it's actually exported from PC Part Picker, this is a solid budget and a really solid build.
Except for the CX 500 watt 80 plus bronze Corsair power supply. Come on, people.
Stop. Yeah, that needs to go.
No. All right.
Time to like Photoshop like a newspaper just for the power supply emails, like a little animated GIF. That's got to go. Yeah, that's terrible.
Again, we're like, just trust us. If you're not sure why, just believe me. Don't do it.
I used to buy budget power supplies, and like I say, I think probably once per tech podcast. Then I had a thermal take that survived a fire and saved most of my parts. So,
and I had a power supply that completely burned up and thankfully didn't kill anything. So we've both had we've had a good and a bad power supply experience, and you just don't want to take the risk. So anyway, sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
No, he's got a really solid build here. He's got an i5 4460.
Not the K, so no overclocking.
Yeah, but still, it's an i5. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Gigabyte motherboard, pretty standard. 8 gigs of HyperX memory. I've got that at my work computer. That's some solid budget memory. I like that stuff.
And if there's anything you do want to go budget on, honestly, memory is usually fine.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter that much.
Now Kingston SSD now, that is their budget line, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's $240. I might actually look at that Crucial for like $6 more, the $250.
Mm-hmm.
I might trust the generic Crucial line over the Kingston SSD now. That's more of a preference thing, though. I'm sure they're both going to, like for most people, both of those SSDs will work fine for the lifetime of the computer.
Yeah.
But maybe just take a look. Toshiba 2TB hard drive, standard storage, MSI GTX 970. There's your classic 1080p card. What is the 100 million edition? And why is it $350?
Idea, but yeah, I don't know if I'd buy anything that MSI makes for $350. That seems
no. Don't do a Zotac for like $320 or less if you must. This case is called Be Quiet Silent Bass 800.
Oh no, they're amazing. Are you familiar with Be Quiet?
No, that's fantastic though.
I was strongly considering one before I got my Fractal.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like about them is they're a little bit hard to get your hands on. But yeah, if you go look at them, they are fairly quiet and extremely customizable, and like they're pretty sweet. They're a fairly new maker. Honestly, for a budget build, if I'm going to cut money somewhere, and $120 case is not going to make it. But yeah, they're very solid.
Get rid of that power supply. Go for anything that's the same wattage but gold certified. Like get a brand name, a good line. Don't skimp out on that. Blu-ray reader. Is that really necessary? Like I mean, he knows his needs as far as media better than we do, but evaluate that, because if you have a Blu-ray reader, a smart, not smart TV, modern console. I mean, I've never wanted to watch Blu-rays on my computer. I don't know. It's just me. It's $47. That's not bad. Wireless network adapter. Ooh, a brave man. $12. And then a AOC 60 hertz 23-inch monitor. Now that I'm going to actually pause him there. That's $150 on Amazon right now.
Jeez, for an AOC?
That's not a good price. I saw an Asus 23-inch for like $99 this week on slickdeals.net, one of the front page deals. For the monitor, either get a local deal, or if you're going to still ship it across over to France, just wait like a week or two for a sale. There's tons of them per week in the US.
Yeah, and AOC is a pretty cheap brand. Like, they're not horrible or anything, but I don't think I'd buy, like, AOC is the type of thing you see, monitors for $80, 20-inch 1080p monitors. Like, that's when you get excited for AOC. I don't know if I would get excited for them.
Don't pay a premium for it, for sure.
Can you find me a good monitor and link me? I'm putting them together a build here.
Yes.
I'm going to suggest for a case, Be Quiet is nice, but I had a hard time finding them in stock. If you want a similar case that's going to be incredibly quiet and stuff, the Fractal Define R5, I'm using that now. It is a fantastic case. Extremely quiet, tons of sound deadening, very easy to build in, etc., etc. I would have no problem recommending it.
Jeremiah, my first link that I opened on Slick Deals for the monitors, this is a ridiculous deal. Wow. This one sold out quite quickly. 23-inch Dell IPS 1080p. It was for $162, right? Get ready for this, though. It came with a $100 Dell gift card.
Whoa! That's not bad.
Like, I think those gift cards expire in like 3 months, so you're kind of boxed into buying more Dell crap. But I mean, buy some of your other parts from Dell or something, like from their
that's
they have a
a
part store.
Solid deal right there.
$60 Dell IPS monitor.
That's not bad. I could work with that.
Or if you don't have time to deal with locked in store gift cards, here is a 24-inch BenQ, which is a solid brand. Like they've kind of gotten much more popular recently.
They make some good professional stuff, and then they make some just mid-grade consumer stuff. But like they're fine. Yeah. I'd get them over AOC. They're probably like similar to Acer,
and they're cheaper. 24-inch, so that's an extra inch for your monitor, and then $129 with free shipping. Here's a link for that one. And I'm just scrolling.
Is that IPS?
I don't think so.
Oh, I have to add it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was asking for a PC part picker link. Sorry, Dave. Sorry. Can you find the same thing on PC part picker by any chance?
I'll see what I can do. Let me look real quick. I mean, honestly, for monitors, I wouldn't use PC part picker just because monitors are one of those things, kind of like mice and headphones, that are just constantly on sale on places like Slick Deals.
I'm just trying to send them all in one list, and then I would highly recommend monitors and video cards and hard drives are all things that, like, just keep an eye. It's going to go on sale. I promise you.
Choose a monitor. Let's say a budget of, let's keep it at, I'll save him $10. Let's do $139 for the budget. Overall rating, 1366 by 768. No, thank you.
Oh God, no.
Gross.
I'll read the rest of what I've got. I've been building while we've been talking. So I kept his i5 4460. It's a 3.2 gigahertz quad core. It's not that fast, and it appears he's not overclocking. So stock Intel cooler it is. Let it scream itself to death. I don't care. And then thanks. I got that. Then an ASRock Z97 Extreme motherboard. Now the H97 is an okay chipset. It's harder to overclock on it. So you're asking, well, if you're not going to overclock, why do we step up to the Z97? I'll get there in just a minute. Kingston, 8 gigs of RAM. Basically the same as what you picked. Just your deal, like, it's basically the same. A Crucial 250 gig SSD, a Hitachi Ultrastar 2 terabyte hard drive, a Gigabyte GTX 970, a Fractal R5, a Thermaltake 450 watt 80 plus gold power supply, LG Blu-ray reader, TP-Link Wi-Fi adapter, and that monitor, the monitor that you just sent me, hold on, I'm refreshing, is an Asus 23-inch 1080p monitor.
Look at that response time too.
Was it 1 millisecond? 2 milliseconds?
2 milliseconds, yeah.
That's pretty good. So your original budget was $1,209. That's the exact same, pretty much. This one's $1,205 before promos, rebates, blah, blah, blah. After shipping, all that, you're at $1,160.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
Here's why I said to get a Z97. If you like 1080p, 60 FPS, a little bit of a CPU overclock would be very nice. I know this is your first build, so you might be a little nervous to do it. But that 4460, it is a perfectly fine processor. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But in your budget, you have enough room to step up to something that can be overclocked. And I would recommend that because even if you're not doing it now, you might want to at some point, and then you have it if you want it. So for $1,202, you have a 4690K in this build now. And that is a 3.5 gigahertz processor, so it's already a little faster. And you can easily overclock this to 4 gigahertz or beyond. So I am pushing your budget just a tiny bit because I am going to include a Hyper 212, the darling of, all coolers. So if you're like, okay, no, but I really can't push the budget, get a cheaper case. There are tons of awesome cases for less money. Get a Corsair 200R or something, save $50, whatever,
Yeah.
Make it work. But right now, this is $1,232. And this is very close to your build. Like Dave said, you did a good build. But this build has a better power supply, a better SSD, an overclockable processor, a better motherboard, similar case, similar Blu-ray reader, monitor, better monitor, everything else is similar or better. And it's pretty much the exact same amount of money. So that's why you write into us is, we can make your build probably a little bit better than it was before. Just by optimizing things a little bit. But if you have any questions, especially since this is your first build, Erodon, go ahead and write back into us. We'd love to help you out. But I will be sending you a PC part picker link so you can look at everything yourself. But definitely, if you want to save some money, that case is amazing, but I didn't have a case that nice until I'd had computers, like building computers for 7 years or something. Step down, my Corsair 200R is also a perfectly fine case.
Yeah.
All right. Matthew wrote in. Matthew said, "Hey guys, been listening to the show for a few months now. I really enjoy it." We really enjoy your email, Matthew. You guys have a great dynamic. I noticed that it seems that you talk a lot about overclocking processors. He's not wrong. Whenever you do a build, it seems to always be a priority to make sure to get an unlocked CPU. My build is an Asus blah, 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 with a GTX 980 and a 3570K. He upgraded from an i3 because the 3570K was on sale at Micro Center for $100, and he felt like with a 980, his old i3 might become a bottleneck. He mostly plays racing simulators, he says, but I also play regular games on a 1080p TV.
Regular games.
That's the spirit. I run almost everything on high or ultra on the single screen. I only use the triple screens, he has triple screens, for racing simulators, most of which I also run at high at 1080p 60 FPS, no issues. I only occasionally have a frame drop on Witcher 3 when there's a lot of Hairworks action going on, or when playing R Factor 2 or Assetto Corsa with 15 plus cars in the track. My question is this: would it benefit me at all to overclock my CPU? I don't overclock my 980 because it seems like I pulled the short straw in the Silicon Lottery and just about any overclock on it crashes the driver. Or it could just be the drivers right now. You guys seem to be huge fans of overclocking CPUs, so I was just wondering if I should overclock the CPU just because I can. What are your opinions? Keep up the great content. Your podcasts are what get me through a long workday sometimes. Matt.
Ooh. Can I dive in first here,
yes,
Jeremiah?
Absolutely. Go for it.
I guess my opinions for sure on this, because I've kind of shifted some opinions on overclocking both graphics cards and CPUs recently. So when it comes to graphics cards, used to be my philosophy wasn't worth the effort. However, recently, referring to graphics card overclocks, you can actually get maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 FPS in some games by overclocking your graphics card.
By recently, you mean recently for NVIDIA. AMD has had this for years.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, for NVIDIA, it was just like not even worth considering before, like, the last couple of generations.
Oh, no, like better. My 9600 GTs, like I think like a 25 megahertz bump crashed them. Like it was pretty shameful.
And plus, with going back to the 480s, I imagine overclocking those was like actually taking the cap off of a nuclear reactor and like peering down inside of it.
That's like going up to the sun and being like, you got another 10 degrees left in you? Come on, you wimp.
But on the other hand, I'm going to say when it comes to CPUs, if you're not overclocking your CPU and you do a lot of gaming, a lot of production work on your computer, you are throwing away performance. Even a mild overclock will actually change how your computer feels, even on the desktop, with just everyday usage.
Now,
that's
Dave,
my opinion.
Now, Dave,
yes.
If they could run the computer faster, if the CPU could be faster, why doesn't Intel just sell it faster? Why do you need to overclock?
Well, Jeremiah, that's a good question.
You're not just here to get buying advice, you're here to learn. Yay!
Let's go over to the chalkboard, kids. Now sit down and listen. So when Intel sells a CPU with a clock speed on the box, they are required under warranty to guarantee that clock speed for the lifetime of that processor. And a lot of these CPUs are burning through wattages where, that CPU burns for, let's say 5 or 10 years in some poor university lab computer that's never dusted and it suffers for 10 years, right?
Right.
I know the warranty won't last that long, but Intel's got to guarantee the clock speed that it will always run with no crashes, no blue screens at that clock speed. So when they bin a chip, when they pull a set of chips off the line, and this is where I might need you to chime in now and again and maybe correct me here, but they're pulling chips that theoretically could do higher clock speeds, produce more heat, run maybe 30, 40, 50 or more % harder, but only certain chips. And
Correct.
Because they can't guarantee that, they're going to play the safe game. They're selling a product that's going to go on a store shelf or, on your Amazon cart. They have to play it safe. Whereas you can play, the patient game, overclock, tweak, and you can see what the chip is actually physically capable of.
And you heard someone mention in an email a few minutes ago the silicon lottery.
Yes.
That's what people refer to it as. There's no guarantee you'll get a chip that overclocks well. Most chips will overclock at least a certain percentage. It's a very, very rare chip that just won't overclock.
Right.
So on most every build, there is some free performance that can be had. But if you want to overclock, important things to keep in mind. Sometimes you will void warranties. It's incredibly rare to kill a CPU. But just so you know, this is definitely an enthusiast thing you're looking to do. And just so you know, every motherboard, if the overclock is unstable, it will shut down to prevent damage. So unless you do crazy voltage modifications and stuff, which if you're first starting out, you don't need to do, there's nothing you can actually do that will brick your CPU. At the very least, you'll have to pop the battery out in the motherboard to reset all the settings and then it'll boot up fine. Like I've done some pretty extreme overclocks and I've been overclocking for years and I have never come close to killing a CPU.
Now, I have a side story, Jeremiah. I have killed a CPU while overclocking. However, that wasn't the overclock that did it. It was poor cooling, a poor motherboard design, and poor airflow. But I actually learned a lesson from that. What saved me was I did my extreme overclocking as soon as I built my computer. I wanted to get the parts in there, get everything, overclocked and configured, how it was going to be for the, lifetime of the computer I was building. What that meant was because the chip died in the 30 days after I bought it, it was covered by the retailer warranty. So if you guys want to overclock, I would recommend doing it quickly. Your Amazon warranty, or I guess just return policy, and even Newegg in a lot of cases, if there's an issue, they're going to have a no questions asked, like, hey, this part's dead. Yeah, send it back, return policy.
Now, if you send it back to them with scorch marks all over it or something, they'll probably go, yeah, no, dude, you killed this. But, we're not trying to tell you to try to game the system.
Right.
But yeah, if you're going to have a weak chip that's going to die, push it hard right out of the gate, figure out if it's going to die and send it back. Your odds are incredibly low that that's going to be a problem. But still worth keeping that in mind. Something else to keep in mind. You need to have better than stock cooling. Dave, have you ever overclocked on a stock heatsink?
No, but I have used a stock heatsink on an i7 for 5 years, and it suffered. It suffered a lot, Jeremiah.
Heat is the enemy. When you're overclocking, if you need to bump voltage to keep it stable or something, your heat goes up, you increase your clock speeds, your heat goes up, you need a better cooler, you need decent fans on your case, you need a decent case, you need a decent power supply because you're going to be consuming more power, and you need a good CPU cooler to keep your processor from dying. If my processor overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz was using the stock Intel heatsink, it would probably not be stable. But it would definitely be running somewhere in the high 80s, low 90 degrees Celsius on temperatures.
Yeah.
It will die quicker because of this. If you don't know what that is, that's close to boiling for water. So you don't want to do that. So that's a very long around way of saying, yeah, you know what? You probably should overclock your processor. Your 980 is probably not getting bottlenecked in most games. But as an example, I've had a 3570K, and Debbie in Casual Shenanigans, she has a 3570K right now. Running at its stock 3.4 gigahertz clock speed in GTA, she had fine performance. I overclocked it to just 4 gigahertz, which is a very mild overclock for that chip, and an overclock that pretty much every chip will hit. And she instantly got like a 5 to 8% boost in GTA, because that game really can use a whole lot of processor. Same thing with Arma or DayZ. Some games respond really well to faster processors, and you will definitely notice the difference. Simulators tend to be games that respond really well to lots of processor power. So R Factor and Assetto Corsa, Project Cars, Arma, anything that's doing a lot of simulation typically has a lot of CPU work being done, and that is an ideal candidate to overclock your processor. And it is true, you are leaving basically free performance on the table.
Yeah.
So I would say, yes, you should overclock your CPU. Now, if you make it sound like you've maybe overclocked before, you've tried it with your graphics card or something. So I won't assume that you don't know anything, but I'm going to act like you don't just for the benefit of everyone listening. Matt, don't overclock using any programs in Windows for your CPU. For your GPU, that's fine. For your
Correct.
CPU, use the BIOS of the motherboard. Modern BIOSes are so easy to use. It's not hard to do at all. But you can even Google a guide, like Google 3570K and the name of your motherboard overclocking guide, and you will find plenty of people showing you how to do it. Now, you do have a P8H31 chipset on your motherboard. The H31 is not the best overclocking chipset, so you're probably not going to be hitting like 4.7 gigahertz or anything. But I'd be very surprised if you couldn't hit 4.2 or 4.3 gigahertz. Almost a 1 gigahertz boost over stock. Almost a 25% boost over stock. That's significant performance. I ran my 3570K at 4.5 gigahertz the entire time I owned it. Like Dave was talking about doing it quickly. I bought it, I popped it in the computer, and within 10 minutes, it was at 3.5 gigahertz, and I never touched it again. And the basic Intel unlocked quad cores have historically been great overclockers. I've had two 2500Ks over 5 gigahertz when I'm doing builds for other people. I've had a 4690K to 5.2. I've had an 850 to like 4.5. Stuff like that. I've had a 3770K to 4.5. Couple 3570Ks to 4.5. It's not hard to do. You can totally do it.
I agree.
All right, cool. And then we are going to answer just one more question tonight, I think. If there's other people who've written in, but we'll get them on the next round. Grant writes in. He says, "Hey guys, first off, just want to let you know I'm a huge fan of the podcast. You make my workday so much easier and more relaxed. Thanks. Anyways, on to the tech question. I'm planning on building a gaming PC. This is going to be my first PC build, and I need some help. My budget is $300. Oh boy. I'm not planning on smashing out games on high settings at 60 FPS. Thank you for having realistic expectations.
Step one.
He does want playable games. Now, Dave, don't click that parts list. He sent us a new parts list in another email. So if you see that, go ahead and check his next email in the list and go ahead and open that one up.
Updated.
He says, I'm wanting to know if this build is okay and if there are problems you can see. If there are better options for some of these components that are cheaper or better, please point them out. You guys are the experts. Here are some details you may want to know. I would like to have a socket that has a long upgrade path ahead. The case I have included comes with a 450 watt Rosewell power supply, although I'm not sure if it's good. I haven't built this yet. I don't mind Intel, Nvidia, or AMD, and I'm not going to be overclocking. If you guys can see anything that needs to be improved, please help me with this. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time and support. If it's not any trouble for you, can you also send me an email reply along with the answer in your tech podcast? I'm not able to watch it live. I'll watch it on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Grant. And then he writes in another email. Anyway, I have an update to my previous email. I've updated my parts list. Ignore the older build as the prices have gone higher for some parts, and I've revisited some of the other parts. Thanks for you guys' help. Love the podcast. Okay, now the build he sent us is $380. So I don't know if this is really a $300 build or not.
It's a 300-ish build, and I'm sure prices they might have changed a bit in the last couple days.
Right. Let's see if we can get this build down. So his build is an FX 6300, hexacore, 3.5 gigahertz, an Asus AM3 Plus motherboard, 8 gigs of Corsair memory, Seagate Barracuda 1 terabyte hard drive, GTX 750, Rosewell, a micro ATX mini tower case, and an EVGA 430 watt power supply, the same power supply that went in the potato masher, and a Wi-Fi adapter that comes out to $380. I think, Dave, we can do better.
Can we?
We can. So first thing, the 6300 is it's a great chip. AM3 Plus as a platform probably does not have too many more generations of upgrading ahead of it. You're kind of buying into it close to the end of its life cycle now. For a budget build like this, honestly, any processor you buy is going to be fine for the next couple years. So I wouldn't really worry about putting a big upgrade into this motherboard, you know? I'd probably just ride this out for like 4 or 5 years and then just upgrade the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea right there. Yeah.
He's not overclocking, so I'm going to say get a 860K. We recommended that already. It's a 3.7 gigahertz quad core. You should get it because it's like $20 cheaper, and on your budget, $20 is a lot of money. Yep. Also, you can get cheaper motherboards. We can get a gigabyte motherboard for like $50. We've already dropped a little bit. Your memory is $50, which is actually a little bit expensive for 8 gigs of memory. Memory is finally coming back down in price now.
Also, does he need 8 gigs, do you think? Could he get by with 4 if it saved him 40% of the cost?
Well, he definitely could. We did it on the potato masher. I'm going to see if we can do the build without needing 4 gigs, just because he wants to keep it for a couple years, and we don't know what memory's going to, we don't know what memory requirements are going to do. We know that you're going to need 8 gigs at some point, or at least 6 gigs. So I'm going to say if we can, let's keep the 8 gigs. Let's see if we can cut something else just so he's set for the future, if that makes sense. But we can save like $13 on a cheaper Team Dark. They're a pretty new memory maker. We can save a little bit of money on that. Something that definitely needs to change, though, is the 750. I mean, for a budget build, I guess the 750 is okay. He's found one for $72, which is honestly not bad. I mean, I would be looking at used graphics cards if I were you.
Yes, I agree on that. This is like the perfect scenario for a used graphics card.
If he doesn't have an opinion on which one he wants, what are Radeon 7870s going for? Nope. What are Radeon 7850s going for?
Disregard last.
I mean, used prices fluctuate, so what you can find depends on what's in stock and stuff. Not a lot of 7850s in stock. Let's see, 7950s. Also not a ton of those. They're starting to get old enough that like it's a little bit hard to find some of these. Let's see, what would a 660 go for these days? A GTX 660, which is going to be a significantly better card than a 750. A 750, it's not like it's just an old gaming card. It's never a gaming card. It's a budget card. It's only to be used if you have like no other options for games. Not saying it's the worst card in the world, but it's definitely not good. If you don't really care about your frame rates, I mean, I guess you could use it, but I'm trying to find you a better option. Let's see, Dave. Dave, could you take a look? He's got this Rosewill case for $30 and the EVGA power supply for $27. I don't think there's any money that can be saved there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can always build it on a cardboard box, but I think we're starting to hit rock bottom here. Like the shovel can't go in much further.
Yeah, for graphics cards, like on Amazon, I'm not really getting a whole lot of luck here. I could try it. I'm gonna try eBay really quick. Like I'm feeling like, what do you think? Like a GTX 580? Is that crazy to think about? Is that stupid?
I don't know. 580 versus 750.
Well, we could actually easily find that out using Anantech GPU Bench. If you guys aren't familiar with that, they've compared tons and tons of CPUs and GPUs, and you can do a quick comparison. So let's just see what a 750 compare. They don't have a 750; they only have the 750 Ti. That works. We'll just see what is a better version of that card.
I would say that price-wise, I know that Edgar's used 580s went for like 100 to, I think the second one went for like, it was like 82. So they're
in that price range.
Pretty cheap.
Okay. Let's take out the broken ones. I'm looking on eBay. And you have to be comfortable buying on eBay. There are plenty of reputable sellers on eBay. You can do it. All right, I'm seeing $75 to $100. $100 for like an Asus in mint condition, 1.5 gigs of VRAM. Compared to a 750 Ti, which is a much better 750. I mean, it's not really the same card. The 580 is significantly faster, like 30% faster. Yeah. Okay. Let me send this to you. So Grant, if you're okay getting a used GPU, I think you are an ideal candidate for a used GPU. Check that out, Dave. I mean, I think that's pretty clear there.
Wow, yeah, and the 580s too are noticeably cooler and more power efficient than even the 400s. They have
massive coolers and stuff. So Grant, here's what I'm going to do. A 580 or a 570, I'm going to find you some links when I email you, and I'll send a couple options to you. They're only going to be good for the couple days before you buy. So if you need help, let me know. But that's probably the way I'd recommend going. I mean, that's not bad. And you need to save money somewhere, and the 750 is a miserable card. Your GPU is going to matter more than your CPU, at least for the next couple years, and honestly, if you can get a 580 or like a 660, he can totally get a 660 Ti or a 660.
Ooh,
we should go with that. We should go with that.
Yeah.
$75 for a 660 Ti. You'll be able to play most things on medium to medium high, 1080p, at least 30 FPS, probably better than that in a lot of games. Like if you don't care about visuals a ton, turn it down so it looks like a console and you'll probably get 60 FPS in most things. I'm not saying that to be mean. That's the reality of it.
That's how things work.
I'm going to say a GTX 660 is our official recommendation because it looks like anywhere between $60 and $75 is very doable. That's the budget you had for your GPU, and I think that's probably how you should do it.
I like it.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, that is the podcast. We will be doing another one of these in a couple weeks. So if your question didn't get read, it will get read soon. Dave, do you have anything else you want to talk about? Any other tech things you want to cover before we sign off?
Yeah, we had some good builds tonight. Like that was a wide range of stuff. That was good stuff
for sure. And definitely send in a PC part picker link if you're able to. It does make things a little bit easier just in us sending you stuff back. So if you are able, try to do that, and we'll do what we can to help you out. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in to the show. As always, you can check the description of the video for links to lots of important things. And you can follow us online, www.casualshenanigans.com, youtube.com/casualshenanigans, Twitter /casualshenaniga, and then on YouTube, me and Dave are Germ Gaming and Evil Viking 13. I think that's all the links. If it sounds like I'm just rushing through them, we do them a lot. But yeah, this is Casual Shenanigans Tech. Definitely check out Casual Shenanigans Gaming. Write in with your tech questions. We'll do our best to answer them. And for now, stay casual.
See you guys.